Hey everybody, it's Heather Nichols here. Let's have a chat about time. Everybody's favorite. Time is a very interesting thing. And, there's all kinds of different ways to manage your time and, feel like you can maximize your time and all of that. And time for me is very fluid. Sometimes it seems a lot longer than it is, and sometimes it seems a lot shorter. And I don't put a lot of stock in time. But one of the things that I've noticed recently is if I can add a little bit of organization to how I use my time, it makes a huge difference in my levels of relaxation, actually. And so one of the things that I've been looking at is, am I being actually really proactive in my, how I spend my days, or am I being reactive? Whenever we're reactive, we're actually, we're dealing with things kind of after the fact, right? We're reacting. Something has occurred and we're in a reactive reality with it. We're, reacting to it and kind of like putting out fires or cleaning things up. And this happens a lot in businesses. And I actually I didn't realize this, but recently in the past, I would say 6 months or so, I've been really working differently with my time and my schedule and getting really looking ahead a lot more than looking back and getting a sense of what is going to be required and what am I going to require and what do I know that I require that I can actually plan for and be proactive about rather than be in reaction to. And I didn't realize until I started doing this that it really kind of felt like I had spent a lot of my time in creating my business in reaction, okay, oh, today we got to do this, and today we got to make sure this happens, and now we need to make sure there's income, and cash flow management, and oh my gosh, this needs to go out tomorrow, and kind of a lot of last minute things, and a lot of us that are entrepreneurs and we're seekers and we're procrastinating and doing things last minute, that's just no problem. That's fairly easy to do. And it can be a superpower. It doesn't have to be wrong about you that you're good at that. And so I definitely fall into that camp as well. And also, it's, there's also just been a sense of okay, well, I would actually like to be really creating for the future, and so creating the future, if I was really creating the future, then when I get there, it will feel so tended to and so nurtured, rather than oh, today's the day we got to handle. It's I created today 3 months ago, not by trying to structure it, but actually by giving it energy and attention and awareness, the future. And now I get to relax into the receiving of that future. And that's a really different way of functioning. And you can't be in this fight or flight way of being in the world. When you function like that, you can't, because most people are in reactive realities. Most people in their businesses, they're really putting out fires and functioning from reaction. And to give yourself even the space to sit back and be proactive and look at the future, that takes a lot of courage, because oftentimes entrepreneurs think that they can't do that because they have so many immediate things to handle that they just got to handle that stuff. But that keeps you perpetually in those reactive realities rather in, taking a moment. And that's really what I did is I was okay, I'm going to extinguish the reactive way of doing business, put out the reactive fires, and I'm going to turn my attention to the proactive and the looking ahead and creating my business as the long game, really the long game of my business and how I want to be and how I want to be experiencing it and how I want to be using my time. And so one of the things that it's a beautiful tool from Access Consciousness, also something that I've learned from my coaching, my strategic coach program. I'm doing a strategic coach program right now, is making sure that I have days that are like just for me. And in Access, we would call it a day a week just for you, an hour a day and a day a week just for you. It really increases your receiving and it increases your relaxation. And in Strategic Coach, it's called like a free day, a day where you're not working. And for me, I sort of just play with how that works for me, but it's like a day for me. And I know that I need days for me where I have nothing on my calendar and I can really like care for my home and my body and my personal world, and and then I can have days where I'm actually really tending to my business, and so I'm maybe don't have anything on my calendar, but it's a day to tend to my business, do some cleanup, get ahead with some things, and then there are the days where it's like action. It's like that's called like a focus day in Strategic Coach, where you're in action, you're like in the income generating activity. And it's not about imposing structure on it, but one of the things that I've seen over time from instituting this and really blocking off days in my calendar where it's like, this is a day for me, this is a day for kind of business cleanup, whether it's a day or maybe it's a chunk of time. And just really like looking ahead and going, okay, what's required over the next month, over the next 3 months, over the next year, over the next 3 years? How can I be creating that now? What seeds can I be planting now for that? It's a much more proactive way of functioning than a reactive way of always, just handling things at the last minute. And when we do that, handling things at the last minute, we burn out. There's no space for you. Everything kind of flows together. Everything feels like it's all like piled on top of each other. We never quite know how to spend our time. You could be doing a million things. You kind of need to be doing a million things. Which of those million things are you going to choose? Does any of that sound familiar? And with this sense of like looking ahead, scrolling forward on my calendar, being proactive, making sure I've got chunks of time that aren't scheduled, days that aren't scheduled, things like that. It's like, it's created such a relaxation in my world and a potency with what I can create with my business and how I can care for me. And so just a little something to share with you about being proactive and working with time. And I hope it's contributed. And if it has, please do the thing, like, share, subscribe, comment, all those things that boost me up in the algorithm, and also just like, get these conversations out to more people, because I'd like the world to have a lot more fun and be a lot more relaxed and enjoy the creation of life and business and living. That's what it's all about after all, isn't it? For me, it definitely is. So thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.